Jason was having a dream. He had fallen a long way, and he was looking up at the night sky. Emily looked down at Jason with vicious blue eyes. "Hey, Bleedy, you get a lot of nosebleeds?" she asked. Jason woke up suddenly, wiping the sweat off his head. He looked around the room, dimly lit by Nova and Encardi. It was still early. He rolled over, trying to fall back asleep while committing the dream to memory. Jason got out of bed early. He looked shabby and didn't have any clean clothes. He poked Nova awake, who flickered to life. "Good morning, Jason," Nova said, excited just to be awake. Jason hushed her, even though he was sure Encardi was still watching him. "Come on, Nova, let's go find something to eat, and I think I need a shirt," he said, pushing her out the door with him. Together, they went down the long dorm hallway with its big windows so they could see outside. Other students were awake too. They whispered, even though they were eager to break the silence and start the day. As Jason started walking down to the cafeteria, he looked out the window and saw Sanjo and Cassie running along a path with a group of students in tracksuits, their companions trailing behind them. "Oh gosh, they are up early too," Jason said, waving at them out the window, but his friends didn't see him. "Yeah, we should go out too, Jason, like exercise," Nova suggested, bouncing up and down. Jason yawned and stretched. "No, I don't really want to," he said, trying to dismiss Nova. His companion flickered brightly and didn't want to drop the issue. "I want to go outside, Jason," she demanded. Jason was about to be stern with Nova when Encardi floated by after Alex, who was sleepily staggering away. Encardi stopped in front of Jason. "Yeah, Jason, why don't you hang out on the grounds this morning?" he said plainly. Jason wanted to get away from Encardi. "I'll just go outside. Come on, Nova." Jason led Nova to the main entrance and was surprised to see how alive the school was at this early hour. Students were up early, engaged in all kinds of activities. Jason decided to walk around with Nova, who was happy just to be outdoors again. They went past the basketball court where Emily had taken Kriya the day before. There were other students playing basketball. Emily wasn't with the group. She was probably working in the kitchen again. He was wandering away from the school a little bit when Dr. Larkspar saw him. "Hey, Bleedy," she called to him. Jason wasn't really ready to talk to Dr. Larkspar. It was too early and he knew too much. "My name is Jason," he corrected her as she stopped in front of him. Nova hid behind Jason, a little unsure. Dr. Larkspar crossed her arms. "Sure, Jason." She paused. "Jason Butane," she said, affirming that she knew his full name. "I will trade you a clean shirt for an honest answer about Professor Silvestri," she offered. Jason thought about it for a second and nodded. "Sure, that'd be great." "I need a new shirt," Jason accepted. "No, Jason," Nova warned quickly. Jason smiled at Nova. "It's okay, Nova. She is a teacher." He reassured her. Nova relented, and Dr. Larkspar led Jason to the school parking lot. It was behind a tree line, and Jason hadn't seen this area yet. They stopped in front of Dr. Larkspar's old red car. It was just a cheap two-door where she was from. It had a smooth, streamlined look designed for the average businessman or sports car enthusiast. Dr. Larkspar opened the creaky door and pulled the seat back. She shuffled things around in her car, causing trash to scatter on the ground. She pulled out a clean red t-shirt. "There, that should fit you," she stated, holding it up for Jason. "Oh, thank you," Jason said, reaching out, but Dr. Larkspar snatched it away. "What did he do?" Dr. Larkspar asked sternly. Nova flickered and beeped, a telling sign to a human. Jason didn't want to admit he saw Nocto, and Dr. Larkspar wouldn't let the issue go, so he decided to tell her something. "He shined a laser in my eye, and I could shoot like that. That's all I know," Jason admitted, hiding everything else. Dr. Larkspar nodded thoughtfully. "What color of laser?" she asked, genuinely curious. Nova floated up, just trying to be helpful now. "It was a blue laser," she said, causing Jason to hush her. Dr. Larkspar slammed her door closed and threw the shirt at Jason. "Thank you, Jason. You have been most helpful. Come on, I'll take you back up to the school," she said gently. Together, they went back up the walkway to the school. Dr. Larkspar took the time to coach Jason on rounding corners with the laser tag rifles and proper formation. Before Jason went into the cafeteria for breakfast, Dr. Larkspar reminded him that he would have practice tomorrow. It had been a pretty calm morning. Jason's first 2 classes went well, and he spent both lunch and breakfast eating outside while talking with Nova. Jason was entering Dr. Larkspar's class again. Jason didn't have this class with Sanjo or Emily. Jason sat down in the front again as Dr. Larkspar tried to take attendance and remember names. She looked around and saw Jason going through some of the monsters in the guide right away. Nova was very good at knowing when Jason was ready to move on. For a moment, Dr. Larkspar was lost because she was happy to see the students already engaged and ready to write new reports. There was a lesson to be taught. "I'm glad to see everyone today," she said nicely, but only a few students looked up. She adopted her usual stern glare now. "Children will be silent," she shouted, and all the students snapped to attention. She smiled. "I know a monster you've all heard of. This one is pretty common, and that's what makes it scary," Dr. Larkspar said, sitting on her desk so she could look over the class better. "Let's talk about the internet and computer viruses." She watched hands go up at the mention of the internet. Dr. Larkspar took Jason's question first. "So, how come there is no internet here?" "There are hardly any computers," he asked, the question not so different from everyone else's. Dr. Larkspar faced this question every year. "I know it seems like the internet would be unavoidable," she said to Jason, somewhat avoiding his answer. She asked a return question. "Would you let Nova connect to the internet as you know it? To look up anything she wanted?" She was very serious. Jason didn't know. He looked at Nova, questioning the scenario in his head. Dr. Larkspar climbed down from her desk and walked around the class. "I'm so glad we are all 100% present. How much of you exists on the internet? How often are you plugged in? Is this a tool or an extension of you? How plugged in can you be? Headphones, goggles, and full-body peripherals. How long before your companion is scattered across the planet?" She had made a complete lap around the class by now, and she had a lot to say. "How many of you leave only the monster part of yourself behind? Write nasty messages," she sneered. "How many of you broke up online? How many of you fell in love?" She stopped as a girl had a question. She allowed the girl to ask. "Are my nasty messages really a monster?" she asked, projecting her own concern for something she did in the past. Dr. Larkspar put her hand on the girl's shoulder. "I'm sure you are not a powerful monster," she assured the girl and continued. "It's a big, big space, and something as simple as a misplaced letter can spark enormous reactions. We haven't even talked about actual computer viruses." Jason raised his hand, and Dr. Larkspar pointed at him, signaling him to ask his question. "A computer virus is pretty common, but I don't think they are monsters," he tried to elaborate, but Dr. Larkspar interrupted him. "A sufficiently dangerous one is. It's a serious intent to cause harm made manifest. It's not a monster until it takes over your accounts, your home security system, your police, your electricity, or even the military," she said, driving the point as far home as she could. "Work it out, and I want a big report from everyone. Name ones for movies if you want. Just make sure you find as many monsters as you can. Marks will be deducted for anything I don't think is a monster. Try not to share," she ordered. The class began to work, conversing with each other and their companions. Jason and Nova talked a lot for the rest of the class. Nova wanted to know about all the movies that Jason knew where a computer virus took over the world. One of the monsters Jason came up with on his own was the kind that created subliminal messages across mass media. Jason and Nova worked hard to submit a good report. They liked the involving class structure and were closer to understanding what an actual monster really was. It was getting close to last period, and Professor Silvestri was in his classroom, listening to music on a large pair of headphones. He snapped his fingers and clapped, unaware of the world. It was one of his favorite electronic dance songs. "Baby, dance with me again," he sang, clearly only knowing the chorus. "Smile again for me." He was now waving his hands in the air. Dr. Larkspar came in. She could hear the song playing and recognized it quickly. She stood there, watching him dance and snap his fingers. When he didn't notice her for a while, she snatched the headphones off his head. "Hey, I want to talk to you," she said sternly, causing the remaining students to scatter out the door. Professor Silvestri stopped his cassette player. Yes, I'm at your service, of course, he said, trying to hide behind Tachita, who struggled against his grip. Dr. Larkspar didn't pursue him like usual. It's okay, I'm not mad, she said, trying to be gentle. Professor Silvestri pushed Tachita aside. That's good because I didn't do anything wrong, he said, putting his hands on his hips. You broke into my office, she began, summing up her actual problem. You stole Kriya.
No.
You stole Kriya. That's how this started, he interrupted her, hoping to absolve himself. She was mine. She was ours. They all were. The exchange stopped for a second, and Dr. Larkspar wiped away a tear. Professor Silvestri broke the silence. Did you see them playing yet? He asked her, wanting her to understand. Dr. Larkspar looked up at him again. Yeah, we had a class together this morning. Kriya listens to her, and Kriya even wrote Emily's name on a desk, she said, remembering a similar event. Professor Silvestri looked relieved. So, you are okay with it? He asked cautiously. Dr. Larkspar smiled. No way. I already told on you, she laughed in his face. You really think no one would notice? I had to, she said, taking a seat. Professor Silvestri slammed his hands on the desk.
What? No.
That's stupid, he shouted. No, you're stupid, she said confidently, putting her feet up. Just then, Mr. Norbert walked in.
She's right.
You are stupid, he said, having overheard the exchange. You're in trouble now. Dr. Larkspar will conduct your field trip to the observatory. Why don't you come with me to my office? He suggested, gesturing to the door. Professor Silvestri was sweating and nearly defeated. He started to leave but turned to Tachita. Go on the field trip, he ordered. Mr. Norbert wasn't going to allow Tachita either, but he knew he probably couldn't stop her.
Kiss me again.